Hey guys, my name is Alex, and I'll be going over this book, Great by Choice by Tim Collins. Today I'll be talking about the first two chapters of the book. So to start off with, the book starts off by saying that we cannot predict the future. We can only create it. That quote really hit home with me. It basically means that the future is unpredictable, and the things that we do in the present time and now will ultimately lead to things that will come forward in the future. So we're the ones that really control our own destiny. And that quote really, I think, sums up the core element of the book. By this, I mean no one else in the world is responsible for the choices that we make. All the choices that we make throughout our life are made for a reason, um, and all of my choices matter to me because they ultimately will determine my future. I believe that the main point that I was able to take away from this chapter is that there is only one certainty about the future, and that is an uncertainty. So in chapter one, the entrenchment that I chose was a threat-filled world favors the speedy. You're either the quick or the dead. So one of the reasons that I decided to pick this myth was because I feel it means that the world is always changing, and it's always changing right in front of our eyes. And there's only a select few that can actually notice that the world is changing right in front of our eyes, and then what determines those that either see it or don't see it, and the ones that do see it are the ones how do they react to how it's changing, how do they adapt to it, and those are the ones that kind of separate the two groups. And one of the reasons that I chose it is that, or how that it relates to me, is that it's I kind of related it to the baseball world. So I play baseball here. I'm a pitcher, and um, baseball the rules are always changing. Um, every year there seems to be different rule changes, whether you like them or not. That's just how the game's going these days. And as players, coaches, umpires, we all have to adapt to those rules, whether we like them or not. And so the players that strive in the game of baseball are the ones who are able to adapt to those rules and are able to um, kind of play through them and they don't let the rules affect them. They just kind of go with the flow, and you can see that at any level, whether it's high school, college, minor leagues, or professional. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of picked that quote and why it kind of really stuck out to me. And then with chapter two, one quote that I found was very that really stood out to me was discipline in essence is consistency in action. That quote can be found on page 21. This quote kind of stuck home with me because having discipline is something that every one of us can be practicing at all times. Having discipline to get homework done early or on time is something that us college students and young adults are really trying to learn on an everyday basis. Um, this can also be referred to as self-discipline, which can be defined as a pattern behavior where you choose to do what you know you should be doing rather than what you want to be doing, and that's something that we all can practice, whether we're young adults or we're in our 40s and 50s and we've been through it all. I think that's something that being like showing responsible and having the self-discipline, it really gives you the strength to withstand hardships and all the difficulties, whether it's physical, emotional, or even mental. So then moving on to chapter 2, this chapter begins with a comparison of Amundsen and Scott. And these two were explorers who were trying to be one of the first men to go to the South Pole. And after reading through chapter 2, I believe that I was mostly compared to Amundsen. I think that I most like him because he was always preparing himself for the worst. Amundsen was preparing with intensity all the time, uh, so that when conditions would turn against him, he would always be able to dig deep for strength, and he was always and then when you are preparing yourself for the worst, when things do finally end up going your way, you will able to strike hard at whatever it is you're doing at that time. So I think that's kind of something that I was able to relate to pretty well, just because, like I said, with baseball, baseball is one of those sports where, you go to the ballpark every day, you see something new, something you didn't expect that you would see that day. So with practice, every day, at the college level, we're trying to practice, we're trying to prepare ourselves for, game-like situations. So when those things do arrive and that's, coming down to the last innings, we're always preparing ourselves for the best or for the worst. So then that way we can come out on top. And, there's only a handful of sports that, like baseball, that stuff like that can happen. So, when the game's on the line, we all know that we have to do our stuff when the time comes. And then lastly, one of the three components out of fanatic, discipline, productive paranoia, and empirical creativity, I would have to say that I am most likely to excel in the fanatic discipline category. I say this because whenever there's a disciplinary situation that either I'm involved in, whether it's my fault or I'm part of it, on the outside, looking in, whether it's big or small, I always look at it as it's like a learning lesson for the future. If you're able to do this, look at it as not that you messed up, but you have to look at it like, okay, yes, I did mess up, and how can I change that? How can I change to what I did for the future, so that way when this time comes again, I don't make the same mistake. So if you're able to do this, then I think that you won't be able to make the same mistake, and then you'll come out on top, and people will look at you like, yeah, he's self-disciplined, he's responsible, he realized what he did wrong, he owned up to it, and then he took it out, and he's good to go. All right, thanks, guys.